Okay, thank you for joining today's session. My name is Madelina DiLisi. I am the Food and Farm Network Specialist with the Great Lakes Midwest Regional Food Business Center within Michigan State University's Center for Regional Food Systems. Today, I'm going to be presenting the Michigan Farmer Market Vendor Journey Map, a step-by-step guide for first-time farmers market vendors selling food in Michigan. Today's session in the Farmers Market Vendor Journey Map was developed with the purpose of increasing market access with the support of the Great Lakes Midwest Regional Food Business Center. Support for the Great Lakes Midwest Regional Food Business Center comes from the United States Department of Agriculture's Agricultural Marketing Service Regional Food Business Centers program. The content for this resource was developed in collaboration with Amanda Shreve from Michigan Farmers Market Association, myself, Madelina DiLisi, and master's student Emily Britton. The Farmers Market Vendor Journey Map is designed for first-time farmers and food producers interested in selling their products at a Michigan farmers market. The Journey Map walks prospective vendors through the key steps leading up to their very first farmers market. This presentation is jam-packed with free resources and insight from farmers market professionals. Today, we will be going over the journey map, which includes a brief summary of the following: market research, product research, food safety, licensing and regulations, applying to the farmers market, food assistance programs, vendor etiquette, and marketing and displays. Toward the end, we'll review the market day checklist and questions to help you reflect on your first market experience. The beauty of the journey map is that it breaks down each step leading up to your very first market. If you've never been a vendor at a farmer's market before, each one of these steps will be crucial to a successful market experience. So the first step, let's find your market. You may already have a market in mind, but it's important to consider your options. Every market is unique. Consider the location, culture, profitability, and operating costs associated with vending at a specific location. If you have the privilege of choosing between multiple local markets, you may want to consider how close the market is to you. Consider fuel expenses, time traveling with fresh produce or products, and what day and time the market operates. Also consider the culture of the market. Walking around the market and interacting with vendors can help give you a better idea of the culture. Another key consideration is profitability. Look at the other vendors and products. Is the market oversaturated with your product? Will you be another bread maker in a sea of bakers? Is there an abundance of kale at every table? Examine the general costs and think about how much you would need to sell and at what price to be able to make a profit. Finally, consider what the operating costs are to be a vendor. What is the vendor fee? Is it daily or seasonal? Do you have to provide your own tent and table? What about electricity and electronic payment systems? These are all good things to make a note of when researching a market. If you need help finding a local farmers market near you or resources, check out the Michigan Farmers Market Association. MIFMA's Find a Market Map is a great resource. You can also refer to the USDA's Local Food Directory and Michigan Farm Fund's Seasonal Guide. Now that you've researched your local market, it's time to do research about your products that you want to sell. You've been carefully growing or developing your product, so you know it inside and out. But when I talk about product research, you want to think about your product and how it's going to sell in the context of the farmer's market. It's important to consider product yields to make sure that you have enough and that there's a demand for your product. After you've done market research, you should have a better understanding of the average price point for your product in your area. The price of your product should reflect your work and inputs while also being affordable. Also, consider what your product looks like through the lens of competition and collaboration. You want to sell your products at a competitive price, but there are other ways to stand out without price gouging your fellow members. Diversify offerings, highlight your growing practices, your business story, and collaborate with your fellow vendors when you can. Sometimes more means more. Everyone thrives in a packed market. And finally, consider seasonality. Does your growing season align with the market season? Most markets are not open year-round. Weather can be unpredictable and growing seasons are limited. Now, food safety is an important practice to be familiar with before you ever start selling your product. You are responsible for implementing food safety practices for your products. Do your part and follow Michigan food laws and our state's cottage food law to reduce the risk of foodborne illnesses. Food safety starts at home and on the farm. If you're a farm that needs help, Michigan is the only state that offers free and confidential produce safety risk assessments on site at your farm. Produce safety technicians are not there to regulate you or yell at you. Technicians visit to help you identify the risks and work on with you on how you can implement food safety practices. You can schedule a free visit today. I also encourage you to take a look at the resources on the right to help understand the best practices for your specific food product. There's going to be a lot of different things, and depending on what you're growing or selling, that's going to change. So, Michigan Cottage Food Law and Michigan Food Law are there to help small farmers and food producers sell without needing a commercial kitchen or special license. However, these laws only apply under certain circumstances. Under cottage food law, non-potentially hazardous foods that do not require time and or temperature control for safety can be produced in a home kitchen for direct sale at farmers markets. No license is required when following cottage food laws, but cottage food law products must comply with labeling, adulteration, and other provisions in the Michigan food law. Be sure to carefully review the regulations provided by the Michigan Department of Agriculture and Rural Development if you want to sell products under cottage food law. Under Michigan food law, farmers may sell whole, unprocessed fruits and vegetables. This means that you're only allowed one cut at the time of harvest. You can't sell chopped lettuce or, prepared vegetables. So the only way to do this with no license is to make sure that you're following the required rules for the Michigan food laws. Again, if you have questions, there's really great free resources out there. Michigan State has a cottage food law training through their extension. The Michigan Farmers Market Association has a lot of really great resources on the different licensing requirements and cottage food information. So some key points about Michigan cottage food law that you should know is that at the time that this resource was created, individuals can sell up to $25,000 yearly in gross sales with no license, registration, or inspection. Now, we've been trying to increase this in the state of Michigan, so this could change, but really this is for folks that are really starting out and following Michigan cottage food law. So, according to Michigan cottage food law, your products must be made, packaged, and labeled in your home. And there are a few products that are tricky that you're going to want to pay attention to. So, you might think something like jams and jellies are okay, but there is a high risk for food-borne illnesses. So, you really have to pay attention to what's not allowed. You're not allowed to do pickles, canned fruits or vegetables, meat, fish, dairy, beverages, pet food. Really, a good rule of thumb is anything that has to be refrigerated after being made, it needs to be prepared in a commercial kitchen. And what that means is that your product needs to be refrigerated. It cannot be sold under cottage food law. That's not allowed. You're going to need to make that in a commercial kitchen and have a special license. So, depending on what you're selling, you might need a special license. Some examples of food products that require special licensings are like the following. So, a retail food establishment license is required for beef, pork, lamb, poultry, and eggs for producers that have over 3,000 hens, and then value-added products not eligible for cottage food law. So, again, these are things that we talked about, like pickled products, certain jellies, jams, salsa, dairy products, and more. A commercial fishing license is required to sell any fish products. So whether it is, wild caught, farmed, fresh, or smoked fish, you have to have that license. A wild mushroom expert certificate is required to sell wild foraged mushrooms. And again, this is just to keep folks safe. And then finally, a special transitory food unit, or it's also called temporary food service establishment license. These are going to be required to sell prepared foods at the market. So if you think about food trucks or hot prepared foods, that's the license that you're going to need. All right, now that you're familiar with your product and how to sell it safely and legally, it's time to apply to be a vendor. You are going to want to read and understand the farmer market rules, policies, and guidelines. Make sure that you understand the market fee structure. So, are you signing up for the entire season, or can you pay for each individual market as you go? Some markets will require your vendor fee before the start of the season in full, while others accept daily drop-in fees for the market day that you wish to attend. If you have insurance and you have a product that needs insurance or one of those special licenses, you're going to need to have that proof at the time of application. And then finally, you're going to have the signed vendor agreement sourced from each market that you wish to participate in. If you have any specific questions, the person that you're going to want to ask is the market manager. They're going to know best about their specific market and they can really help you figure it out. Farmers markets have the unique ability to unite people and strengthen communities through the shared love of local food. Learn how you can contribute to a welcoming and thriving market as a vendor. So, when you think about being a good vendor, there's some etiquette that can be practiced. First and foremost, respect your fellow vendors, your market managers, your market staff, and volunteers. Arrive on time for setup. So many markets require vendors to be ready at least 30 minutes before opening. Do not sell to customers before the market opens. So this is really tempting and it can be really hard to say no to people who are ready and willing to pay. But this can really create confusion for customers and stress for your fellow vendors and market staff who are still setting up. Next, stay for the full duration of the market. So even if you sell out, it's really important to stay. You can use this time to connect with new customers or review your sales. A market that thins out halfway through is really bad for all vendors. So again, this goes back to respect, and just make sure that you stay throughout the end. Next, respect market property. So if you're borrowing a tent or a table, make sure that you wipe it down so it's clean for the next vendor. If there's any damage of property, you're going to want to bring that to attention to the market staff. Next, keep it clean. Don't leave food behind to rot. Pick any garbage left behind, even if it's not yours. But really use a pack it in, pack it out mentality. And finally, be kind. So, Michigan farmers markets can participate in a number of state and federal food assistance programs. Participating in food assistance programs is a really great opportunity to help make food accessible. You can expand your customer base and you can support your community. These are some of the most common food assistance programs. And to learn more about food assistance programs, you can head to Michigan Farmers Market Association's website. They have really great resources, and if you need help getting an electronic sales device to help run some of these programs directly, they can help you with training and offsetting that cost. So next, let's talk about marketing and displays. A little marketing can go a long way at the farmer's market. So here are some tips to ensure that your table is memorable. Clearly display your business name and branding to make it easy for new and returning customers to find you, especially if you're at a busy market that changes spots throughout the season. Use signs, displays, and packaging to communicate your unique business's story. In all likelihood, you're not the only one selling bread or tomatoes, so use your story to stand out. Offer digital payment options. Offering digital payment options in different platforms like Square, Venmo, PayPal, or Cash App can help make your products more accessible. You can print out a QR code that customers can scan. Stack them high and watch them fly. If you stack and stagger your products to catch your customer's eye from far away, it's going to help a lot. Think about it. When you're walking through the market and there's a large line, you don't want to cut, but you don't want to wait in line just to see what's at the table. Next, dress your table up. You can use things like washable tablecloths or even a burlap sack like they have here on the right. Use chalkboard signs, crates, and laminated signs or banners to help set yourself apart. And finally, use large legible price signs. This will save you and customers time. Okay, it's market day. So here's what farmers market pros wish that they knew before their first market. Feel free to take a screenshot of this slide, or you can wait for our complimentary journey map resource to be published. These are great things to think about the day before the market. Make sure that you know where to park, unload, and set up. Have all of your things packed and ready for your table, and you can even practice setting up your table beforehand to make sure that everything fits. Bring cleaning and safety supplies because accidents happen. Review what equipment and supplies you need and what, if anything, the market provides. It's better to be over-prepared for your first market. And of course, don't forget to take care of yourself. Make sure to wear weather-appropriate clothing, stay hydrated, and stay prepared. Congratulations! You survived your first market day. Now what? Take some time to reflect and ask yourself these questions. What went well? What was your best-selling product? What didn't sell? What challenges did you run into? And can they be prevented at the next market? Is there anything that you forgot to bring? Was the day profitable? So, did you make enough to cover your vendor fee for the day? Did you make enough to cover the cost of your supplies? Don't get discouraged if you haven't right away. Keep track of these numbers to see how you grow over the season. You can adjust your products and your prices accordingly. And finally, what can you improve at the next market? There's always a learning curve, but as the season progresses, you'll find ways to improve after every market. Thank you for joining me on this journey today. All of the resources referenced throughout this presentation are linked here for your convenience. Remember that these are great resources that come from great organizations, and please feel free to lean on them to learn from. I wish you luck on your farmers market vendor journey.